Welcome to my Sorare Journey, episode 97. In the previous episode, I was completely lost on Sorare. I didn't know what to do. And now, you can consider me found. I know what to do. I've got a plan. So I'm going to share my plan with you guys. So you can see on screen the new scouting option from Sorare. Have I been using it? No, to be honest, I didn't know it was here until I was filming the video, and I was like, this is a much better background than what I'm about to show because it reveals all. So you may have seen on Twitter that I've been picking up some of the best classic champion cards on the game. We can see we got Fabian Ruiz last night. No one would have known about that. Yes, Hatate's not a champion card, but he is very good, and he plays for my team Celtic. A special edition, Bukayo Saka. That is actually number 2. I've already got one, so that's interesting. Trent Alexander-Arnold, card I've wanted for ages. He's going to go to Real Madrid. He's got a small knock, I think, but he should probably be back for the start of the season. I just see him absolutely ripping there. And basically, in short, my plan is just to enjoy Sorare again. You know, I love this game so much, and at the end of last season, it was so miserable. I was winning back my money, but I wasn't making big profits. Putting a lot of time in. At the end of that, probably wasn't putting any time in. You know, I was enjoying putting my team out. You get DMPs, that, you know, dampens your weekend. You have a good score, it's not good enough. Unless you're winning in the new system of Sorare, it is just not fun. So obviously I went out early, I got loads of money, I came first place, and I was on top of the moon. But that can't happen for everyone. By statistics, it's going to happen to the minority of people. So I was in that boat where thankfully I made my money back, made a bit of profit, but I didn't really want to play it again. Now, I think I got unlucky. I could have made more money in terms of like an in-season ROI perspective. But to do that, you do need to put in a bit of work, a bit of spreadsheets, a bit of grinding, try and understand the matrix, little changes, read all their blog posts to see if there's any small niches and little advantages you can get over other people with good football knowledge. And it drained on me by the end of the season. I was like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to risk another $5,000 to make 5,500 where, you know, the game could in theory just fall apart and I lose everything. Or I could put that $5,000 into stocks, options, collectible cards, literally anything, and maybe get a as good, if not better, return with less risk. So, yeah, all of this has been happening, and I did my favourite thing on the game every season, and that is just to line up my cards like this. Goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, forward. Shows you your depth, and I don't know why, except for the fact it's probably because I'm a massive geek still. I just love it. Like, as soon as I did this, I was spotting little weaknesses and, you know, additional cards like Anthony Robinson, fantastic scorer, great price, but what is he, like my 8th best defender? I don't need him, you know? So that sort of allowed me to open up my gallery and say, right, of a team I don't sell anyone, you know, because of list and play and everything else, you know, the collection bonus and the XP, the longer you hold cards, all that stuff. I just don't sell cards. I commit to a card, I buy it, I hold it, doesn't matter if he fluctuates in value. I pretty much buy it and hold. So when it got to the summer season and some card prices started to tick up again, I didn't do this at the end of the season, I wanted to do it closer to the restart. I started just listing my cards. I was like, I'm just going to raise some money. You know, lots of these cards I have excess of, and I don't need them. So just get some money in the bank. And yeah, let me show you how that happened. So through my depth chart, I identified I have Salah, Saka, Palmer, Dybala when he's fit. So I didn't really need Erling Haaland. But when I'm comparing prices of players, this is also key, because what I really enjoy is getting a good value for card, not just you know, going out and spending whatever. I like to find value in players. So Haaland, I think this 208 is like the current price of ETH today, and it's had a really strong week. So it was probably in the region of £198, I think I accepted at the time. And it's not Erling Haaland, I don't need him, get money. It's I don't need Haaland, and I can get £198, and I can get better players that will score probably better for cheaper. So that's the sort of route I went down, and yeah, accepted that bid of, let's call it 198, I don't know. Listed some other players here, like, Yeah. So if you imagine straight after selling Haaland, I'm like, well, the market's a little bit more liquid than I thought. And then I'm like, okay, so in terms of defenders, Van Dijk's good, Guardiola's good, Romero's good. I still think I can improve. And like I said, I'm really bullish on Trent for next season. So I've just got rid of all of these useless cards. Like, yes, the ones of value like Agaritzia Balala and Heung-min Son. They've got a potential to be good, but they were sitting like 8th and 9th in my depth charts. It's like they'll be useful for someone, but useless for me at some point. I could trade all of them and 13 quid for one of the best cards in the game with decent XP. So this is sort of the process I've been doing. I've been clearing out the clutter, but I'm doing it in a way that's true to not just ROI, because you can play Classic for ROI, but it's going to be even worse than in Season because the big jackpot prizes isn't really there. There's no hot streaks. Winning first, you don't get 2.5 grand. So what I've tried to do as well as that is sort of go back to the roots of what I enjoyed most. And that's owning cards I like watching, I like them seeing doing well, and I just think are good value. So little things like Bukayo Saka, I always call him Bukayo, it's Bukayo, but life goes on, doesn't it? He's in the 140 region, I think I bought him for, and he's been selling about that. But this is a classic card. This is the first season of Premier League cards. It's a Sorare's edition. It's a special edition. This card should not be equal to everything else. Now, I've been seeing, I think his name's Gamble and maybe a few other collectors on Sorare, and they're starting to acquire like some of the best collectible cards they can. They think they've got long-term value, they look cool, and that's sort of what I am. I've shared before, and I think in my next video I'll show, some of my Pokemon and football cards, physical cards that I love collecting. Well, I'm a big collector, and I'm like, if Sorare is successful in, say it's alive for 10, 15 years, these sorts of cards now, you just won't be able to acquire a first edition, basically, Premier League Saka edition. I think this is the first season Arsenal were ever on the game, first mint of Saka, and he's got a special edition, of which we'll check how many there were, because this is the thing with collectability. There is no real collectability on Sorare today, but that doesn't mean there won't be any in the future. When people like Gamble and me start acquiring these tough to get cards, they're not going to be up for sale very often. So although, yeah, it might be a long shot, we don't know if Sorare will be here in 5 to 10 years. The fact that I can do a very low risk, I've not paid any extra money for this Saka card. It's exactly the same as all the others, but I get a special edition which gets me, collection points, whatever. But it's just no premium. There's no risk involved. It's a card I wanted, a midfielder card, so I could play midfielder Saka, forward Palmer, forward Salah, all in one team. And let's just take a look at the collectability elements here. So he's got a few collectible cards, but I think there's only 4 rare cards of Saka's first season. That is like perfect, and a lot of them aren't really selling 2 years ago, 8 months ago. This one was obviously up for sale as well 1 month ago. But if you are an Arsenal collector, if you are an Arsenal fan, you're going to go to your star boy. He is going to be the future of Arsenal, in theory. You go to a special edition card, you go to the earliest print. That's sort of how physical cards work. I think that's how digital cards will work. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier to acquire these. You can't lose them in the post. They can't get damaged. There's no PSA grading to them or anything. But I think it's that sort of, I sort of think of a scale of like a PSA 10 to sort of like limited, rare, super rare, unique. You'd probably want the uniques, but people won't be able to afford them at the same time. So I think rare will be that sort of best of both worlds, where you can get depth, you can get loads of different players that you enjoy and you want to collect, but at the same time, you can use them, you can play them, and you can have loads of them. That's sort of where I'm thinking. So beyond that, I've also just been trying to accomplish some small little tasks that I enjoy. So if you go to seasons, I've now got a card from every single season. So 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 2019, since it was started. And that's a cool little thing. As well as that, I spoke about this on Twitter. We've gone collectible again. Alexander Sorloth, one of the very first mints on Sorare. So in Pokemon cards, you have the very first mint is like the most important, the first edition Shadowless base set. And I think that would work for Sorare as well. And in that, you have cards that aren't that valuable. Your Pidgeys, your Rattatas, whatever. And this is the same. So here I've got Sorloth, who's not the best ever player, but in a first edition, he becomes a lot more in demand sort of thing. So again, we're looking into the future. Might not happen, but I paid market price. I paid £21 for him, and he is, or he was at the time, right around those prices. So yeah, it's just like, build collectability, have fun with it. It's one of the reasons I've gone and got Rio Hatate. It's like, he's £8, he averages 59 points, he's a Celtic player that I love, and he's in his Kawasaki Frontale shirt, which is the same shirt or the same team I've been collecting from Japan since I've played this game. You know, there's a lot of things just clicking for me right now. It's the first time I've actually had passion to go out and make a Sorare video in a while, because I'm sort of back to my roots, you know, what I enjoy, being on the market, buying and selling players, but also getting good value, getting a bit of myself in the club. So it's players I like, players that have a history on the game, or linking it back to, you know, genuine collectability, which honestly, I think Sorare just need to lean into it. And I've been thinking about how they can do it. And I think this ceiling, in terms of like a vault ceiling cards, it's the first step of how they could or should do it. They should delegate players that are legends or icons, so like a Tony Cruz. Obviously, this is very like similar to FIFA here, and it's like, if you seal that card, instant 100 points. That's going to start people sealing these legends. You can get legends that are still playing, like a Messi, or like 100 on top of their current score would be even better. So you can seal Messi for 300 points. Now, because this is collectability, you can't just be able to sell them. There's a longer cooldown time. So for legends, it might take a month to unseal, or 2 months, whatever they think is reasonable. But along with that, you need to be able to show off your squads. I don't know if anyone was big into FIFA, where they had the sort of squad building websites. I forgot what they're called, because all I'm thinking now is FootMob, but that's actual football sites. It was like Foothead, things like that. You can just build any team from any players and people would start rating them. So I would love something similar to that today, where I can build, let's say, a 7, or let's say an 11-a-side squad, and people can go on and just rank them. It's not even ranking, it was just thumbs up or thumbs down. So the most thumbs up is like the better teams. And that's how you sort of get the collectability. It is about showing off, about showing a bit of yourself, but also, you know, people like to flaunt their wealth in these sort of things. So the most expensive card I'm going to get, I'm going to put as many of them in one team as I can get. That's the sort of like what your unique players will do. And that's brilliant for Sorare, because that gives long-term revenues without giving anything back. You're just leaning into sort of what people want. I'd love to put, like, you know, my best 11 of sheer legends into the game. Like, I've got Tony Cruz somewhere around here. He'll be sealed now, actually. Let's take a look in the vault. But yeah, basically, I've gone out and got, at the very start of when they were minted, I think it was one of the early editions. Oh, the current club, he's retired. Brilliant. Yeah, I still think the UI for this Sorare stuff, it's improving, but it's tough. I mean, look at this. Look, Iniesta, for example. I must be getting, what, 1 or 2 vault points for him. He should have something that's special about him, and I should be able to show him off in a squad. Obviously, there's 1,000 of him. I don't know how many were minted, but let's say there are 500 minted in this season. He's not, like, that scarce, but he is in demand. People love Iniesta. So still, that's a collectible card, and they can say that is. But what would be better is having, like, the David Beckham card, if any of you remember that. So there is actually David Beckham's on the game from his time at PSG, but I think this is after he had left. It was a card that could never be played. And if you wanted to pick one up, you've got £100 to pay minimum. He's got no utility, but he has got that collectability to it. And as much as Sorare don't really need to do much, just making small changes to entice people and bring it out of them, rather than this sheer just ROI, winning on Sorare, making money, getting cards that are good on the game to get more cards. I think it would be a great dynamic to actually finally introduce, and the vault ceiling looks really good in terms of like a gameplay mechanic. It's a mini burn mechanism. Really, really pleased with how that's come out so far. You know, let's see. It's only been out barely 2 days or something like that. But the next step, if you know, a collection vault, like, so you do get one of those like panini binders sort of things where you can just, you know, show off who you want in order of who's best. I might actually have one in reaching distance. I do, but I'm not going to show you. That's for the next video. But do drop a comment if you want to see my physical card collection, because I don't want to film it and no one cares really. So that's in terms of the collectible side. In terms of the gameplay side, I'll be honest, I fucked up. I forgot Classic is SO7, so I've been building these teams in SO5, and I'm like, right, Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Saka, Salah, great team. And literally last night, I was just getting to bed and I was like, it's 7 cards. It's SO7, which I think actually helps me a lot. It's a lot harder to have, you know, 7 beasts or like 7 top tier star cards compared to just like 5, especially because stacking of just one team like a Bayern Munich or PSG, it gets even harder and even less beneficial if you're if you've got 7 cards to do it with. So I think stars from different teams, I can probably get, you know, that sort of 2% bonus where Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, although they're all Liverpool kits, actually are in different teams now, obviously. So that's only 2 Liverpool players, 1 Madrid. I can do 2 Arsenal players in the form of Declan Rice and Saka. And I can do Palmer and Salah, and can't be Salah because that's already 2 Liverpool players. But let's say, you know, Xavi, work him in there, or Guardiola. You get the point, where I can put out a team of 7 absolute smashers in Classic Champion. They're going to be cards that I really like. You know, I love Saka, Xavi Simons. I'm actually wearing his top right now, if you can tell. Van Dijk ex-Celtic, and these guys just being, you know, fantastic long-term holds. So that's sort of it. I've got the depth where I can start winning stuff. One thing I will say is that I had a quick look at the prize pools. You know, really tough to judge what they'll be like. But one thing Sorare is really messing up in that I can tell this new crafting system where you guess cards and you learn little hints about them, that is going to be huge. It's going to be great for content. It's going to bring people into the game. So everything should be essence based. So rather than winning a star card, you should be winning that amount of essence where you can guarantee yourself a star card, or at least you've got like 6 really, really high probabilities, so over time you get one. Basically, stop giving out cards as rewards. Give everything as essence in the same degree, so you get the same quality, but in essence. So you've got to go through this crafting system. It's then, you know, streamable. Yes, it's streamable if you go and open a reward, but it's so uncommon for people. So if you can save up and then do it, everyone can start doing it. It's going to be a lot more fun. It's just fun. That's the key. It's going to be so much more interesting to sort of guess and, near miss. It was the one next to some bum that was Salah or whoever else. So that's where I'm at. In terms of in season, I'm in a very weird spot as well. So I just wasn't going to play. Just focus on Classic, my enjoyment, all of that. ETH has like doubled in price since I moved all my ETH out of Sorare, and I've just been keeping it in my wallet. So now I've got, it's funny, it's like it's tempting me. I've got the exact amount of money I put in at the start of last season, which gave me a win and some early good money, like £100-200 here, and then a win in September or August time, might be in October, but anyway, won that, got 2.5 grand. So I'm sort of like looking at it like, hey, you know. So what that's going to come down to is, you know, I'm happy to do the ROI thing. It is still fun. It's just going to, you know, enhance my time. I'm probably going to be in Division 1 from last season, so I've got little advantages here and there already. These cards can be used, like having that sort of depth to still allow one. So there is a potential I do in season. It all just comes down to pricing. I've actually got all of my pricing from last season, so I know exactly how much Saka was, I know exactly how much Romero was, and I can just compare and say, okay, well, if Saka's now £1,500, I'm not playing. If Saka's £700, I'll probably go play. And that's that good sort of fluidity where I can pick when I play. I'm not forcing myself to go in early or make content on it or anything like that. It's sort of just this accumulation of where I'm really happy now. I'm focusing on my classic cards. If nothing comes of that, great. I'm just going to build collectability, things that mean well to me, and hopefully win some stuff, craft. That new element will be so fun. I'm enjoying the vault. One thing I will say, because I've just got so much dross in limited, I vaulted pretty much everyone except for these guys. You might be wondering why I've got Radu, the Venezia goalkeeper. When I proposed to my girlfriend, now fiance in Venice, someone sent me that as a Venice keeper. That's super cute. So he's never getting vaulted. But everyone else is just like collectible cards, as like, you know, Chouameni at Rennes. No, Chouameni at Monaco. Camavinga at Rennes. Frimpong was ex-Celtic. Vinicius Jr. was just like fantastic history for me. Love the PSG guys in this season. That's when I went and watched them. That's when they had Messi and things like this. So good cards mean a bit to me, and all of the absolute dross and Messi, I did seal Messi, is all in here. And I love that. Just keep my gallery clear. I don't want any of the 60, 30p cards. So that's how it is. I'm happy I can finally bring a bit of positivity back to the channel. I do want to hear what your guys' plans are. I want to know what you think of my plan. So, yeah, all the best to you. Cheers.